God is sending us a message, and it's a fascinating 1-2 punch we've had so far. The Lord knows where we're headed, and only God knows where we're headed. So we're being forced to deal with powers higher than ourselves, whether we like it or not. We better open our eyes and look at the reality of what's going on. This
Amen.
It's not a joke.
So the coverage is going around right now of the person that set themselves on fire in New York. Just reading through the comments, there's more commentary around the reporter that was doing her job and reporting what she was seeing in real time versus the actual person that set themselves on fire. Y'all cool? Somebody set themselves on fire and everybody's like, oh my God, her reporting is immaculate. She's doing an amazing job. What?
Start a fucking revolution. Start a fucking revolution. Start a fucking revolution. You've got nothing to lose. Hey, want to learn the biggest secret in the world? In March 2023, sketchy billionaire Peter Thiel started a bank run. I did 1,500 hours of research, and I learned all their rotten secrets. The big one is that cryptocurrency is history's first planetary, multi-trillion-dollar Ponzi scheme. That's an economic doomsday device, and when that Ponzi goes insolvent, as all Ponzis must, we'll get the worst economic collapse in world history. And every powerful person you can think of is in on it. Want to know why everything gets worse and more expensive? That's because we live in a secret kleptocracy. That's when the government gets taken over by con artists whose only job is to steal from the public. And I hope you know this is wonderful news, because now that the public knows about the secret kleptocracy, they get to abolish their criminal government. Follow for more, or read this booklet, and you will bend history.
We have seen an arm that has been visible, that has been engulfed in total flames. There is chaos that is happening. People are wondering right now if people are in danger. I'm looking across the courtyard. There is a man racing to his aid. There's coats coming off to try to put out the fire. We have members of security details. NYPD is rushing to the scene. They are trying to...
Hey friends, I have important updates about the man who self-immolated in New York City. His name was Max Azzarello. He has a full manifesto. He wrote down exactly why he did that. I'm going to read a couple quotes from his manifesto. If you'd like to go read the whole thing, it's in my clicky thingy under my face on my profile. Boys, my hair a mess. My name is Max Azzarello, and I am an investigative researcher who has set himself on fire outside of the Trump trial in Manhattan. This is an extreme act of protest to draw attention to an urgent and important discovery. We are victims of a totalitarian con, and our own government, along with many of their allies, is about to hit us with an apocalyptic fascist world coup. He goes into more detail right below that, and then his apology. To my friends and family, witnesses, and first responders, I deeply apologize for inflicting this pain upon you, but I assure you it is a drop in the bucket compared to what our government intends to inflict. Because these words are true, this is an act of revolution.
Trigger warning. You do not self-immolate if you don't believe in a cause deeply and also feel like there is no other way. Remember his name. This is Max Azzarello, and he has passed on lighting himself on outside the Donald Trump hush money trial. Max did extensive research into cryptocurrency and came to realize that it's just another giant Ponzi scheme. As him and people like Aaron Bushnell are no longer with us and have laid their lives down to carry out their message, it becomes so much more critical for us to use our voices. So I want to ask you guys, and I want you guys to sound off in the comments. I would love to have a conversation about this. What are you going to do differently? Because I'm at a place in my life where so many systems that I'm engaging in make no sense to me. And not only that, but they don't give a fuck about me. Which has got me thinking really differently. So currently I'm going on a communist deep dive, and I'm going to start to slowly talk about what I'm learning and how Western media has just painted so many words in the wrong light. And I'm excited to unravel that and to truly see things for what they are. So today I will be thinking about Max, and I will be learning and using my voice. And I really hope that you guys do the same. So if we have any ideas, please let me know. We love you, Max.
Bro, what? Bro, a nigga just set himself on fire in front of the courthouse, bro. Bro exposed everything. The thing about all of this is that right before he set himself on fire, he threw papers in the air that would expose the government. Look at this one, bro. Has moved massive amounts of stolen crypto through Tesla stock when he co-founded PayPal. They were trying to make crypto, but the theft tech wasn't there yet. Now, I don't know how much of this stuff is real, but the one specific thing that he talked about really concerned me. I know everybody knows what Bitcoin is, right? Within those documents, he talked about how cryptocurrency was going to crash significantly, how crypto was just a big Ponzi scheme, that a bunch of billionaires was going to wipe out everything, and nobody was going to know what happened. And it kind of makes a lot of sense because all these crypto coins are at some sort of high right now, or at least getting there. And if all these billionaires were to do some sort of fishy activity with Bitcoin, nobody would know who it was, bro. But I don't know, a lot of the stuff that he was talking about makes me feel like a lot of it was true, because why would a man set himself on fire, bro? This man set himself on fire to get this information out. So, I mean, it gotta be some truth. So it gotta be. But let me know what you guys think.
What's really creepy is when you know you're in an episode of Black Mirror, when everybody would rather watch him burn himself alive versus try to jump and tackle this man who's clearly having a psychotic break. That's crazy. Then when you think about the fact that he's letting you know, yo, crypto, and the information's out there, first trillion dollar situation in terms of digital currency. So it's the end game in terms of if there's another war and the internet goes down and data gets erased, that would completely destroy the global financial banking system, which would set everybody back to zero. And then you could actually create a situation where people are living in governmental housing and you only can live in there if you work for them, etc. This is where you get into the conspiracy rabbit hole. But I just got 2 videos reported today and they gave me an account warning. So I'm going to chill out with these conspiracies a little bit. But yeah, it gets creepy.
So there was a man who just set himself on fire outside of the courthouse where Trump is starting his trial, and they are already trying to call him a conspiracy theorist, and his whole manifesto is online. I have already gone through his entire manifesto since he just set himself on fire not even 40 minutes to an hour ago, and I feel like I need to get in front of the story before they try to deem this a conspiracy theorist related idea. Not only did he say he was going to do it, he left a step-by-step on his own website. Literally look at the title of this. It says apparent conspiracy theorist sets himself on fire outside of Trump trial. A man who set himself on fire outside of court moments after a jury was seated in former President Trump's civil fraud trial apparently promoted wide-ranging conspiracy theorists. This is the man. I am going to read to you his manifesto. And the thing about it is, how many people have you seen in the news being killed or killing themselves because of conspiracy theory? I feel like you need to pay attention. If the news is saying something is a conspiracy, it's probably not. I have a feeling they're going to try to take his manifesto down. So here is the link at the bottom if you want to hurry up and go read it, but I'm going to tell you what it is. So he released this right before he killed himself. And the title is, I have set myself on fire outside the Trump trial. My name is Max, I can't pronounce that. And he says, I am an investigative researcher who has set himself on fire outside of the Trump trial in Manhattan. This extreme act of protest is to draw attention to an urgent and important discovery. You guys, he did this to call attention to this. He said, we are victims of a totalitarian con, and our own government, along with many of our other allies, is about to hit us with an apocalyptic fascist world coup. He even said that they would call this a conspiracy theory. He said, there are proof of conspiracy. If you investigate this mountain of research, you will prove them too. If you learn a great deal about Ponzi schemes, you will discover that our life is a lie. And if you follow this story in the link below, you will discover the rotten truth of post-truth America. I don't have time to go through all of this, but just look at what he says. He talks about Bitcoin, right? And then he says the March 2023 bank failures were all intentional. The banks were used to move out stolen Ponzi money, which he's referring to Bitcoin, I'm assuming. And he said this signals that they are no longer dumping cash in to keep the cryptocurrency Ponzi afloat, and that it will still soon go insolvent, as all Ponzi's must. It says when the Ponzi scheme goes insolvent, it will take down half the stock market with it. The perpetrators use their major companies to pipe into the blockchain so they can funnel money out from the crypto exchanges. This includes Google, Tesla, Apple, PayPal, Facebook, Disney, Walmart, Target, Invel, Zoom, and countless others. It is a Ponzi scheme so large that it could create global inflation, which is why the price of Bitcoin has been remarkably leading the indicator for inflation rates. Victims who bought Cryptcoin don't realize their money has already been stolen, so their money gets doubly counted by the victims and the criminals who stole it. I'm going to come back and keep reading it, but does that not make sense? Everyone is trying to figure out what's up with inflation and why we're sending money off. It's probably because of the cryptocurrency failure. I'll keep you guys updated.
Just set himself on fire in front of the Trump trial courthouse in Manhattan. His name is Max Azzarello, and he's now being labeled as a conspiracy theorist for trying to expose the government. His manifesto, which is a description on why he did what he did, he talks about a lot of things. First thing that he talks about in his manifesto is how they have a very thought-out plan on how to lead us into a tyrant-ran country. This man talks about how cryptocurrency is a global scheme, one of the biggest Ponzi schemes ever known to us. Basically, if we thought we knew about conspiracy theories, this one takes the icing on the cake. But the reason why cryptocurrency is even a thing is because it's meant to feed the rich and powerful. He talks about how the March 2023 bank failures were used to move stolen money internationally. A cryptocurrency scheme is going insolvent. Insolvent means, bitch, you going downhill. It's taken a lot of other businesses too, and a whole lot more. Inflation is so high is solely because of cryptocurrency. Cryptocurrency is basically stealing money to feed the powerful and the rich. You want to know why gas is so high? That's the reason. You want to know why subs are no longer $5? That's the reason. You want to know the reason why we don't have 25-cent bag of chips anymore? That's the reason why. Other big names that I will not be naming at all are in on the scheme. Why, you might ask? Because the rich and powerful love that title, being rich and powerful. There's so much more that goes into this, but I'm just bringing you what I've discovered so far. This man set himself on fire to bring us the truth. The least we can do is acknowledge it. Personally, I have much respect for you, Max Azzarello, because at the end of his manifesto, he talks about how we, the people, actually have the power and how the government thrives off of the fact that we think we don't have the power.
Hello, Mr. Yazdani. What's going on with JP Morgan Chase? Did you hear any rumors of them announcing bankruptcy? Now, I'm going to start answering this question by saying how big of a major player JP Morgan is in the banking world. And rumors and speculations like this could really shake things up. And considering they're a public company, I did some research on this, and the financial statements look really good. The statements show a lot of stability and resilience. But why did I start my answer by saying JP Morgan is a huge juggernaut? When you're such a big player, you're under huge, tight regulatory watch at all times. In simple terms, that means that our government won't allow it to happen. They're just too big for anything bad to happen to them. They're like the airlines. So I think these are just all rumors, and I don't really believe it, but I may be wrong.
Let's get to some fun finance news today. So Jamie Dimon, if you don't know who that is, he would be the president of JP Morgan Chase, is in court being deposed because he allowed Jeffrey Epstein to have accounts at Chase. So if this gentleman goes down, which who knows if he will or if he won't, usually what happens in cases like this is, let's assume he's guilty. More than likely, he'll have to step down as the chief executive of JP Morgan Chase. But don't worry, he's going to get a bonus. He's going to get his final bonus, and he'll get a slap on the wrist. While people like me and you are getting jail time. No bonuses, no work, straight to jail. And that is the society we live in, period. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with this. I'll give you guys news once we know more, but at this point, that's all we know.
Breaking news. JP Morgan Chase CEO Jamie Dimon calls for the government to shut down the crypto industry due to its potential for illicit activities. Dimon's strong anti-crypto stance, where he has previously labeled Bitcoin as worthless, aligns with his calls for stringent regulation of digital currencies.
You pointed out the only true use case for it is criminals, drug traffickers, anti-money laundering, tax avoidance, and that is a use case. Because it is somewhat anonymous, not fully, and because you can move money instantaneously, and because it doesn't go through, as you mentioned, all these systems have built up over many years, know your customer, sanctions, OFAC, they can get bypass all of that. If I was the government, I'd close it down.
JP Morgan says we'll close about 300 branches over the next couple of years because more and more people are doing their banking online. That means traditional brick and mortar branches aren't as critical as they were back in the day.
There's a panic wave sweeping through the country as JP Morgan Chase Bank closes multiple branches and calls for customers to make moves to safeguard their funds. What do you do when institutions you've trusted for years to keep your hard-earned money safe begin to issue warnings? You listen to them. On the 8th of September 2023, one of the headlines of the U.S. Sun in the Money section read, "Bank by Chase. Bank is closing 5 locations in the same state as customers warn to make plans to secure their money." Now, there's no doubt that this would send chills down the spine of anyone who has their funds in the hands of this institution. But what is really going on? As it stands, JP Morgan Chase Bank has already filed the paperwork needed to shut down 3 of its branches in Washington state, and it's expected that a total of 5 branches will be shut down. But they're not the only ones, and reports show that several other banks across the country are closing down. Bank of America, U.S. Bank, Umpqua, and Wells Fargo are also shutting down branches in multiple locations. An article by Crowdfund Insider reads, 144 bank branches closed this year. Does anyone really care? Well, we do. A careful analysis of the situation shows that the shuttering of locations by JP Morgan Chase Bank and other banks is largely predicated on the transition to digitization of financial services. The brick-and-mortar system that we've generally known to be the standard is gradually fizzling out as online transactions via internet banking and mobile apps are increasingly becoming readily available and popular. It's a pretty simple bargain. If we have a whole building that's costing thousands into millions of dollars to maintain, and we have just a few customers walking in every now and then, because the majority prefer to carry out transactions online from the comfort of their homes, it seems like a financially wise decision to close the buildings and save big bucks. Now, while this may seem like a drastic change, and criticism is pouring in from several quarters who believe that the bank should find a middle ground as opposed to just shutting down locations, it is important to note that they've actually gone that route in the past. How? Supermarket branches. In a bid to cut costs, reach more customers, and make transactions more convenient, banks began opening in-store locations in supermarkets. So, instead of occupying as much as 5,000 square feet like a traditional bank location, these spaces take up only about 400 to 600 square feet. They also cost way less to set up at $200,000 to $300,000 compared to well over $1 million for a regular brick-and-mortar location. These in-store branches have the facilities to offer basic services, as well as a few high-scale equipment like video phones and automated loan machines.